From electing new governors and mayors to revisiting district lines out of the 6 U.S. states casting their ballots, the outcomes in 4 are very much in focus because of the part they could play in deciding the immediate future of America's political landscape. The off-year election does not feature presidential or congressional races, but they do serve as early tests for Democratic and Republican strategies. This ahead of next year's midterm elections. John Fortier from the American Enterprise Institute tells CNN what is at stake for the Democrats in these polls with Donald Trump as president.
I do think Democrats have problems. They don't have an identity. They won't have a leader until really the 2028 election. But this is a midterm-like election, and that really means it's a focus on the president. And the president's supporters are a little more divided, and the president's opposition is united. They may not agree on all the policy issues, but they agree that they don't like Donald Trump.
Votes in Virginia and New Jersey could indicate how Americans feel about the current political climate. Republicans there are hoping to make the race a referendum on continued Democratic governance as voters grapple with rising utility costs, housing affordability, and a general hike in the price of everyday items. Meanwhile, California Governor Gavin Newsom wants to counter his party's losses by redistricting in his own state. Voters set to weigh on Proposition 50. If this is passed, it would allow the temporary use of new congressional district maps through 2030. Republicans, though, are opposed to this plan.
Our time has come, New York. Our time is now. Thank you very much.
And a great deal of attention in the Big Apple on Democratic newcomer Zohran Mamdani, potentially becoming the city's youngest, first Muslim and first South Asian to become mayor. His closest contender is former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. Mitch Mccann, who is covering the story for CNN, joins us live from New York. Mitch, of course, heading into these elections, Mr. Mamdani had the polling lead. Can he keep this lead in this election?
Well, good morning from New York. It's a very interesting question. At the moment, Zohran Mamdani is still ahead in the polls. Some polls have him ahead by around 10 percentage points, others by about 4 to 5 percentage points. I think most media outlets have been reporting in the last couple of days that Andrew Cuomo has gained some ground on Zohran Mamdani, but it remains to be seen whether or not that's enough to win this election here in New York today. Here at the polls this morning, where we are in Manhattan, they opened around 6 o'clock local time. They've been open for around an hour and a half now. We've seen a steady stream of people come to the polls to cast their ballots this morning. Interestingly enough, it's still very early in New York, so a number of people have been out on dog walks and they've been taking their dogs in to vote with them this morning. But I suppose you take any opportunity you can to cast a vote before you go to work. It's going to be very interesting today to see whether or not Zohran Mamdani can capture that audience that he has captivated over the last year. It really is an incredible rise in US politics, what we've seen from him. As you mentioned, if he won today, he will become the youngest mayor in New York history. He'll also become the first South Asian and Muslim mayor of New York City as well. He's had to deal with a lot of criticism during this campaign, some based on allegations of Islamophobia against him, but also many critics say that he can't afford the policies he's put forward. But it remains to be seen whether or not he continue the success we've seen so far for one more day and ultimately win the mayoralty.
Of course, his closest rival, Andrew Cuomo, former governor, and Mr. Mamdani beat Mr. Cuomo in the Democratic primary in the summer. So if he goes on to win, what would his win mean for the Democratic Party? Of course, Mr. Mamdani, and of course, beyond that, what would that mean for New York City?
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting question. I think the rise of Zohran Mamdani has really caused the Democratic Party to look at themselves and pose the question, where do we want to go to in the future? Because I have to say the Democratic Party in some places really split on Zohran Mamdani. You have some Democrats like Bernie Sanders, who is actually an independent now, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, more left-wing, more progressive Democrats who are very much in favour of him. But then you've got some more establishment Democrats who in fact are not really as supportive. People like Chuck Schumer, the most senior Democrat in the Senate, hasn't really been that supportive of Zohran Mamdani. And to understand that, we have to talk about some of his policies. And they are things like free buses in New York, which is reportedly going to cost the city $800 million a year. He's also set to impose policies like free childcare. But perhaps most controversial among Democrats and here in New York is this plan really to tax the rich in the financial capital of the world. Anyone earning over $1 million, Zohran Mamdani wants to tax them a flat rate of 2%, and he also wants to raise the corporate business tax rate as well. And many people here in New York in the business world see that simply as anti-business. So that's creating problems within the Democratic Party too, because of course that party, having lost the election last year, needs to bring in as many supporters and as many voters as they can, and the potential of being seen as anti-business doesn't really align with that hope for the future. So it's going to be interesting to see how he is received by the Democratic Party. If he wins for New York, it's going to be interesting. As I mentioned, many people who are critical of Zohran Mamdani say he simply cannot afford the policies he's trying to bring forward here. They say it's simply a lolly scramble of policies that may put New York in debt. And the final point to note here is the impact Donald Trump is trying to have on this campaign. Donald Trump has called Mamdani a communist. He told 60 Minutes here in the US on Sunday, if the choice is between a bad Democrat, which he calls Andrew Cuomo, and a communist, Zohran Mamdani, he would vote for the bad Democrat the whole time. Now, it's interesting to see whether or not he'll have any sway. It's very possible in a blue state like New York that might backfire on Donald Trump and might encourage more people to vote for Zohran Mamdani, but we'll have to see. The polls close later on tonight. We expect the votes to come through just after 9 o'clock local time. By 10 o'clock local time, we could have a result in this election.
Thanks. Mitch Mccann, they're covering this story for CNA from New York.